Joining us now, we're going to have him for 2 segments because I ate into his time rudely. Craig Shirley, Reagan biographer, his latest bestseller, Last Act, The Final Years and Emerging Legacy of Ronald Reagan. Your book actually made a number of best books of 2015 lists. A lot of the ones that I was looking at, including the one on LifeZet. Your book was right at the top of the best written, best received, best researched, most interesting books of 2015 on LifeZet.com. Craig Shirley, author of The Last Act. Craig, it's great to talk to you, my friend. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Laura. Happy New Year.
So did you put a lot of gun stocking stuffers for your family? Did you drop those in the Red Sox?
As a matter of fact, I don't. Yeah, what the heck? I bought 2 guns for Christmas.
Yeah.
I bought a 20 gauge skeet load, and I bought Zareen a 9mm.
Nothing says Christmas like a 9mm. Nothing says the birth of Christ.
When you give the very best, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look. If Joseph could have been packing heat to protect that baby, he would have been. Let's be honest right here. He was a responsible father, and he would have had a sidearm if he could in that manger. So let's just be very clear. Craig,
well, don't forget is that where was Washington on Christmas Eve in 1776? He was on the banks of 1777 on the banks of the Delaware, crossing over to New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Without guns, there would be no American Revolution, would there?
Without guns, there would be no freedom. I mean, there would be any freedom in this country. I mean, very difficult to see any scenario under which there would have been.
On the other hand, the good news is, think of what Obama's doing for gun manufacturing in America. He said he wanted to bring manufacturing back to America, so he is.
Oh. That's right. The only way he's been good for the economy is for Smith & Wesson. The Smith & Wesson board of directors should send Obama like the biggest fruit basket ever. I mean, it should just be a mongo, I don't know, whatever he likes. They should send him a crate of Nicorette gum or something. So that's what he really likes. So,
gun stocks are going up on Wall Street. Everything else is going down, but stocks in Remington, Smith & Wesson are all
Craig, you and I sat around and talked about finances. Why the hell didn't we think about this last year? We sitting there last summer talking about finances. I don't know market. I don't know what to do. That was an obvious play, and we just blew that one. I didn't even think about doing that, but that's why I'm in my business and not in the financial business. So
all I know about Wall Street is I put money in and I lose it. It goes down.
Buy low and sell high. Buy high and sell low. That's what I do. So, Craig, I want to play for you a soundbite that a lot of people haven't heard. This was Barack Obama yesterday announcing his executive action on guns.
We know we can't stop every act of violence, every act of evil in the world, but maybe we could try to stop one act of evil, one act of violence. We maybe can't save everybody, but we could save some. As Ronald Reagan once said, if mandatory background checks could save more lives, it would be well worth making it the law of the land.
Ronald Reagan. Isn't that clever, Craig? And is he accurate? Did Reagan say that? And under
well, in a manner of speaking, but it's interesting that Reagan has become now the last refuge of a scoundrel, right? Is that when you got to justify a liberal position, you run to Ronald Reagan. Or when you want to justify, the Republican nomination process, you run to Ronald Reagan. But it's always, liberals always quote Ronald Reagan kind of out of context. And again, Obama has. Reagan wrote a letter to Congress in 1993, I believe, supporting the Brady bill, which was very limited legislation. And it featured background checks, which the NRA supported at the time. And it seemed like a perfectly plausible thing to do. In fact, the NRA worked with the Commonwealth of Virginia to implement the first background check program. And it worked first in Richmond and then statewide. It worked incredibly well. Is that, of course, has been, perverted out of what its original intent. So therein lies the problem. But what Reagan supported and what eventually became known as the Clinton crime bill were two vastly different pieces of legislation. They were literally, Dianne Feinstein was literally going through guns and saying, well, that looks scary, so we better ban that. And that's got a hollow stock, so we better ban. They were just basing it on cosmetics.
So in the end, when you watched Obama yesterday, he conjured up the tear. No tears for Benghazi, no tears for Fort Hood.
Yeah, what happened to no drama Obama?
Well, yeah, he thinks the drama will help, the political situation in 2016 by getting maybe Bloomberg to open up his wallets for the Democrats. I don't know.
Sure.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. It's clearly not a winner politically. It helped drive the Republican victory all the way back to 1994.
That's right. When the NRA did so much to lay the groundwork for the takeover of Congress, led by Gingrich. But all the recent polling shows that American public opinion is going in the other way as far as gun ownership and assault weapons ban. And that now, last poll I saw said a majority of Americans opposed a ban on assault weapons.
When we come back, Craig Shirley and I are going to talk about how to put the Republican Party back together again. Humpty Dumpty is on a wall. Humpty Dumpty did have a big fall. And can all the consultants, strategists, candidates, and grassroots people put it all back together again? Is it possible? And what if not? What happens then? We'll talk about this with Craig Shirley, Reagan biographer, the great book, one of the best of 2015. Still, you got to get this book if you haven't read it, called The Last Act. We'll take a break. Don't go away. We continue with Craig Shirley on the Laura Ingraham Show. Craig. A couple things here. Number one, Trump has outsmarted all of the high-paid strategists and consultants at every turn and surprised the elites. And basically, I think they're just shaking in their boots. And maybe some of them are starting to prepare for what might look like an inevitable nomination for Donald Trump.
Well, except Politico had a story yesterday about how a group of consultants, and by the way, I never forget the first three letters of the word consultant. Is massing, trying to raise money to get an anti-Trump campaign going. This is the second or third, pronouncement that's come in the last couple of weeks coming from the Republican consulting establishment. But obviously, he's touched a nerve. And moreover is that he is a threat to their power base, which is why they're reacting so violently and why they oppose him so directly, because he is shaking up the status quo, which has, been nice for them to feather their nests and to kind of direct the party and take charge of the party.
Right, but how do you put the party back together again? If Trump,
you take it outside of Washington. You take it back to the people. You stop sending money to Washington. You start building up the state organizations, which they don't do. You start, the Tea Party was a natural reaction to the big government impulses of the Bush and Rove administrations, and so it went back to being populist, ethical, honest, federalism, which is where the founders and the framers intended it, which is where Reagan took the party back in 1980. And now has gone back. So we essentially have two big government parties in America today, and there's a lot of people, including you, me, others, who don't like that.
Well, and I think Chris Christie gave a speech the other day, pretty interesting, saying we have to win, and he said showtime is over, and we need someone basically who can appeal to both wings of the party and put it back together again. Is that a realistic goal for him?
I don't. I think those are just cliches. Those are very tired cliches. I mean, I understand what he means, and he's a good man. And I think he generally has the right instincts, although he still is an establishment, although he kind of wavers between establishment and anti-establishment. I think it's just the opposite. I think that if you go establishment, then the Tea Party populist Reaganite wing walks away.
Yeah, it taints you. Right? Huh? It taints you, Craig.
Yeah, sure. But one thing you can be certain for the insiders is that they always want access. Henry Kissinger was violently opposed to Ronald Reagan in 1980. He said he could support anybody, John Connally, Howard Baker, George Bush, anybody. But the ultimate insider went along with Reagan because he wanted access. So after Reagan got the nomination, guess who one of the speakers was at the Detroit convention? Henry Kissinger. Why? Because he wanted access to the party. Well, he wanted access to the levers of power.
Yeah, so the establishment will come back crawling back if someone like a Trump is the nominee. I think they'll come crawling back, because where else are they going to go? Unless to Hillary. Well, a lot of them will vote for Hillary. I agree with that. Craig Shirley, The Last Act. Thank you so much. Great. He isn't The Last Act. That's his book, The Last Act. Craig Shirley on the Laura Ingraham Show. Stay with us.